Alright folks, hello and welcome back to Downstage Gaming. I'm your host Josh, and this is part 43 of our Let's Play of The Letter. When we last left off with Ash here, we had headed out to the mansion. It's midnight, basically, November 1st on our last day here. We sort of found a way to sneak in, sort of accidentally, through the dungeon slash wine cellar area, where we ran into Marianne, who was locked up. We managed to help Marianne get out of there and kind of escape from her back up into the mansion proper. We did encounter the broken mirror that Marianne had seen and destroyed at the end of her chapter, and the fragments of that mirror like really freaked us out. Like they were the voices of our friends disappointed in us and our failings. And we finally made our way out of the wine cellar, though, here with Marianne into the mansion proper. So here we go. Trapdoor swings open without much fuss. It isn't even locked, probably left open for when Wrights asks for some midnight snack. I make sure the coast is clear, of course, before I pull myself and help McCulloch up. If that butler finds you, you're doomed, Ash, so you gotta be careful. The butler, he didn't even read further. The butler of theirs is nowhere to be seen. That's good. He's probably sleeping, attending to his master, or doing some extra late-night work before turning in for the night. Meanwhile, Wright won't touch anything to do with menial chores, not even with a 10-foot pole. It's next to impossible for him to linger here. No servants, no anyone. And just as easy as that, we're in. Ash did note last time that from the outside it looked like nobody was inside. Gently, I close the hatch. If things go well, the same path will be our way out. If our luck doesn't hold, well, that's not an option now, is it? I have people waiting for me. I really don't want to think what might happen. Sometimes it's best if we simply revel in the little victories. There are great blessings when everything else is going against you. And in a place like this, fraught with unknown dangers, it's a feeling that lasts only but a second. Suddenly, a sob, ringing out from some distant part of the house, echoing through its empty halls. Beside me, slumped on the ground, pale and breathing heavy, McCulloch immediately tenses. I don't blame ya. Her eyes go wide and she grips the side of the counter with a force that might be enough to crack it, if only she has the strength. As it is, she can barely stand. She hasn't fully recovered. Makes sense of the 3 or more days without proper food or water. And that's crazy. No water for 3 days? I thought you could only last like 2 days without water. And it's this weakness that puts the fear in her eyes. She's aware. If something happens, if there's a need to run, she won't be able to. She's a liability at this point.
Holmes, I really don't think going any further is a good idea.
Come on, Watson, where's your bravery?
Look at this place. Everything seems fine. Nothing's off. Maybe we should just go.
Just
I really don't like the sound of that.
Just ignore the crying. That's normal.
You really don't have to come with me.
Hannah hates
Just
it
until
here.
the kitchen, yeah? We're already here. You've done your part. From here on, I'm going on my own.
Just crawl out the window.
Yes, I said that, but...
Can you even stand?
She doesn't answer.
You'll only be putting yourself in more danger if you follow after me. You have an easy way out of here. Stay here. Once you're okay, I need you to get yourself out of this place.
What? I'm not going to leave you.
Yeah, splitting up. I mean, I get that she's kind of a liability in her state right now, but, like, splitting up does not seem like a good idea.
Well, I'm not taking you with me either, lady. So it's here or out there.
You really are mad, aren't you?
Right, proper mad.
Probably all will be. If no one fixes this little curse problem we have.
You think you'll find something in here? This is just a mansion, for God's sake.
I mean, it's got a movie theater.
Maybe. It's worth a shot. Besides, if what we're hearing right now says anything, I'd say scumbags.
Who?
Right. He might be knee-deep in trouble and he has no idea about it.
McCulloch still appears as if she's about to argue, so instead of more words, I unholster my taser and hand it to her. A standard issue for every member of Luxborn Police Force, but shouldn't take a genius to know how to aim and fire one. Even Isabella may just be able to use it without training. Rude, unnecessary, foul. Yet, Miss Interior Designer Extraordinaire stares at it as if I just handed her something particularly nasty. I mean, have you ever been tased? I understand it's very unpleasant.
Listen, you want to wait? Fine. I'm leaving this with you. But if I don't come back here within 15 minutes, I want you to backtrack and get the hell out of here.
Are you daft, Holmes? I already told you.
In case something goes wrong, I need someone who
Can tell my story.
can tell people what's going on. Who can tell my friend what might have happened here. She's at the crawl.
You hate her. You had a terrible interaction with her that one time.
You know the place, right?
I trail off, letting the meaning of my words hang in the air. I want to be optimistic about this, really. However, I'm going against something almost everyone can't quite understand. I'm just being realistic with my chances. My colleague seems to understand this as well after what I've said. Any sign of protest has already died from her tongue, and she simply looks at the taser quietly. My sweet, sweet taser. After a moment, she just nods. Beyond the walls of this room, the cries continue to grow louder. I take it as a sign to leave. Without another word, I slip out the door. Ah, yes. What a nice little taser. Like a siren call, her voice beckons. Finding out who that is seems a good place to start as any. I don't know about that. I keep to the shadows for the most part. Not that there's any need to. The entire place just feels empty. Odd when a house this big should have a large staff. You'd think there'd be one or two roaming about for some late-night chores, or someone seeking out whoever's ever creating this ruckus. There's none, however.
Shouldn't they have security posted inside as well?
You would think so. Unless their security means the butler, though I doubt Scumbag's that sloppy. He loves his life more than anything. Probably more than his own wife. I think he loves a lot of things more than Hannah. And the things he's done, he's bound to make more than an enemy or two. He's also the kind who'll do anything to keep himself safe. Alive.
I wonder what he'll say when he finds out that there's something not human living with him in his own house.
I'm curious as well, Ash. We'll get there soon. Potential dangers aside, being on my own grants me a greater degree of mobility, which I'm more comfortable with. Sure, I could have enlisted McCulloch's help, but that would have been stupid. Next to the people who owns this, she's probably the one who's most familiar with the mansion. Also, like, if you do end up, I get this, things are probably too far gone at this point for this to happen, but if you were to get caught by, like, security or the butler or whatever, having Marianne with you might, like, be super helpful in terms of, like, you could maybe make up some half reason of why you're there. But the cons of bringing her outweigh the pros. She's better off somewhere a quick exit's in sight. With no tag-along, I only have to worry about myself. Watch my back. Selfish, I know.
But necessary.
Is it? In the same manner this whole plan is, no matter how idiotic going into this is. Besides, I don't really need a guide when the house's layout is fairly simple, almost mirrored with only a few modifications in the rooms. Although I've only been here once, I think I already have a good grasp of this place's ins and outs. As long as you can tell which is east and west, it shouldn't be hard to find my way around. After the dining room, the main foyer should be the next thing that greets me, where the woman's cries are leading me. Honestly, after what happened outside, I'm not even sure if I should be trusting what I'm hearing. But with the whole house somehow seemingly devoid of any of its inhabitants, I'm inclined to look into this. More than surviving this curse, a huge part of this is my training speaking.
I just hope this isn't a crime scene I'm walking into.
I doubt it. I mean, there's something could have happened to Hannah, I guess. And maybe Luke. But nothing's ever that simple, is it? Not when you're dealing with the supernatural. Nope. Because as soon as my feet crosses to the next room, something shifts. Yeah, I had a feeling we might be getting into the horror version here. In a flash, nearly without fanfare. It happens in the blink of an eye, I almost miss it. One moment there's red, in the next, I'm standing alone in the foyer. For a brief instant, I pause, glancing wildly around the place, blinking twice as my movements will spur the vision back. Yet, nothing. No blood dripping on the walls, none trailing down the stairs or pooled on the floor, no eyes watching me every moment. Only the same cries gradually growing in intensity the longer I dally, along with a voice. Now that's interesting. Okay. Pretty sure that's the first time we've gotten anything other than crying and maybe a help me. Desperate.
Where are you, Mother?
Pleading.
Mother, please. I don't want to be alone.
Coming from the same direction I've heard the cries from. Upstairs. The place is not entirely empty then. A better question now is who? Definitely not Scumbag or the butler. I've yet to see hide nor hair of them, and not knowing their whereabouts puts me on the edge. Have to be careful not to make any noise or be seen. Maybe the wife? Though one can't really tell if it's her, the way the walls echo her voice. Nevertheless, it pushes me to move. Taking almost 2 steps at a time, despite the sickening feeling that something's lurking behind every great shadow, every small corner I pass. as if the house has several eyes watching my every movement, as if something alive dwells behind the walls itself. Well, that was fun. I tried to shake it off. Nothing to be worried about here. Okay. But the uneasy... Close these windows! What are we doing? The floor will be ruined in this storm. But the uneasy sensation has already made home at the pit of my stomach. Dread. It only grows deeper the closer I get to her. I can't remember, but I don't think this door was ajar the last time we were here. The relative emptiness of the place doesn't help either. Neither does the harsh wind battering the windows, nor the sheets of rain pelting down the roof. For a fleeting second, I find myself wishing for a scumbag to simply show up. You can use him as a human shield. I don't get too far down into that train of thought. Abruptly, the cries stop, replacing it with...
Please. She's here. She's here, Mother. She's going to take me. She won't leave, Mother. Mother. I don't want to go with her. Tell her to go away. Mother! Mother, she's here! Help!
That can't be good. Adrenaline overcomes me in a rush. In no 2 heartbeats, my feet's already moving, before any sense can catch up or doubt creeps up to me. My hands are ready at the holster as I hastily set off for the far side of the hall. One alarmed footstep after another, while struggling to keep that sense of panic at bay. A door lies ajar at the end, and coming from the floor above...
She's going to hurt me! Help me!
I do not hesitate. Moving in, despite the lack of light, the steep stairs, or the thick layer of dust kicking up with my every step, I pause only a moment upon reaching the top. Then, without wasting a second, I push the door open. Okay, so this is the body... This figure is of Charlotte, if I'm remembering correctly. And the one that's usually haunting us is the, like, servant or slave that she freed, if I'm remembering Becca's bit correctly. She sits in the middle of the room, shoulders hunched, shaking. Her hands cover her face as she weeps, oblivious to my presence. It's as if she has heard neither my footsteps nor the soft creaking of the door, continuing, undisturbed, like I'm standing in a time far removed from her. I think you may. She doesn't even flinch when I call out to her.
Hey, are you alright?
Mother. I've done it, Mother. Take me with you, please. I can still hear her. She's here. Help me! Help me, please!
Belatedly, I notice the blood in her hands. If it's the same one drenching the whole attic, I'd rather not know. How the whole room has ended up like this is the least of my problems at the moment. Even the single human body doesn't have this much blood. So, bodies? The thought sends an unpleasant twinge in my stomach. Does Wright even know about this? He's bad news, alright, but this? This is beneath him. I don't know about that, but it definitely is different than him. He'll definitely balk at the first sight of it. Anyone will. Yet the woman lingers here, unmoved by the sight, letting her sobs fill the room, repeating the words over and over again like a prayer of salvation. To whom? The mess of parchment she has left on the floor? Just what in the hell is happening?
Hey, lady, are you?
A mess of parchment she has on the floor. Okay, maybe the letter? The rest of that question never makes it out. I don't even see it coming. Should have been more aware and on guard, really. But there's little I can do when a well-placed blow to the back of my knees makes me stumble. The momentum alone sends me reeling forward. Has Butler found us? I mean, this is the same music I think that happened when Zach got caught. It barely even registers in my head that the woman's gone and the room's as normal as it can be. Not above the pain suddenly shooting up my side when I hit the floor. I don't even get the chance to get my bearings back when a hard enough blow to the stomach causes me to buckle down and land heavily on my knees. Gasping, I fumble wildly for my gun. Although before I'm able to turn, level it, and shoot, a hand grabs my wrist and twists it. Hard. A gasp. A grunt. A cry of pain slips past my mouth. The gun falls to the floor with a thunk. As soon as it lands, a foot kicks it out of my reach and it slides uselessly under the bed. Agony suddenly explodes in my chin, jerking loose a sharp cry of pain, and stars fill the edges of my vision. I have to assume that this is Johans. A brief moment of regret hits me for leaving my taser with Mechanic when a piece of cloth closes around my neck. Without warning, my attacker pulls tight. I'm left gasping, choking, and clawing for air, blindly reaching behind me as I still try to fight him off and loosen the pressure on my neck. Except any sort of movement only causes him to pull it taut.
My.
Yes?
So many rats scurrying about in this mansion lately.
Yo, Hans, your bad news. I knew it from the start. Wright's butler. Shit.
Tell me, what did you do with the madam?
I have no idea what he's talking about. Did something happen to Hannah Wright? It's been a long time since we've seen Hannah in sort of chronological time.
Let go, you asshole.
Now, Dummkopf, you're in no position to be rude.
I don't think you could... Well, I don't know. I guess if it's a... Well, I don't... I was gonna say, I don't think you can do this even if somebody's in your home.
Last time I checked, I'm not the one breaking into other people's homes. Now answer my question. What did you do with the madam?
The pain rings and resonates through my already sore body. Still, I managed to ride down and spit a mutinous.
You.
Keep that dirty mouth babbling and you're getting a knife in the kidney. I assure you, it will be more painful than this.
You can't just kill me, Johans. He really doesn't need to threaten me by now. It's all too much to bear at this point. My lungs feel like they're burning with the lack of air. Dark spots begin to fill the edges of my vision. How is this man a doctor? Every so slowly, the world around me dims. My consciousness rapidly slips away from me, and without meaning to...
Get away from him!
Hearing that voice, it's as if I've been doused with a bucket full of ice, cold water, familiar, too familiar. And more importantly, it shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be hearing it here. She shouldn't be here. Immediately, my eyes snap open. Oh, interesting. Okay, so either Isabella somehow has a second taser or she ran into Marianne. And right there, right on the attic's doorway, stands Isabella of all people. A rolling pin in one hand and a standard issue police taser on the other. My taser. Going for sort of a Tangled vibe here with the rolling pin. She must have borrowed it from McCulloch. Where else could she have gotten one? I doubt she's ever used one even. Hell, the way she holds it right now, this guy can easily disarm her in one hit. But there's something in her eyes. Although there's a look of fear in them and her hands shake, she keeps the weapon trained and pointed at Scumbag's lackey. Untrained or not, she does not plan to leave here without putting up a fight, it seems. Admirable, really, but it's just not something we need right now. I need her to be away from here. I need her safe. But the chances of that happening grow slim with every laughter that slips from him.
Oh, this is just getting better and better. The Bratwurst won't be pleased with the number of bodies we have to dispose of today, you know.
Are you his fixer? Is that what we're finding out here?
Tell me, how many of you are there? So I can prepare the proper number of bags.
You can't do this! Damn it! What the fuck is going on? Why is she here in the first place? Did she follow after me? Panic surges within me. She knows how bad the situation is, but did she really have to run in here and expose herself like that? Yeah, honestly, it feels like, because if she hadn't said anything, he could have been turned around. She could have just tased him from the back. Does she even know how to use a taser? For fuck's sake, more than worrying for my life, it's her I'm concerned about. Getting strangled, dying by choking isn't part of the plan, but her following me here isn't either. This is why I prefer to do things alone. You need to learn to work with people, Ash. Come on. This is why I'd rather be the only one to take the consequences. I don't even want to think what this bastard might do to her after he's done with me. Though my voice comes off nearly a croak, I try to tell her as much. She has to leave. Stay far away from here and these people.
Don't! Damn it, Isabella! Get out of here!
Another bout of pain erupts in my side, cutting off my words. Cry of agony bursts from my mouth. I can taste blood in my tongue as I heave, attempting to get in as much air despite the towel still coiled around my neck.
Ash?
You're going to lose air quickly that way, Dummkopf. Better keep it shut.
Get out! Out! Val!
Don't be stupid! I'm not leaving you here!
He laughs. Too cruel. Too unforgiving. The way each note beats against my ears in spite of the warmth in them sends chill down my spine. This is a man whose hands have already been stained with blood before. I knew it! Can I get everyone to agree that I called it? anime boy with glasses. Of course it's gonna be, you know, if not the main antagonist, at least on the wrong side of things. He won't hesitate.
I'd follow his advice if I were you, little girl. What could you possibly do with a toy? Just hand it over and be on your way. It'll probably be too difficult for a little girl like you to use.
There's a moment of silence. Fuck, I can barely keep my eyes open. But in the next second, though I still don't exactly understand what's happening, Isabella shouts. Not a cry of pain, not a yell of panic, but one that's resolute, firm, perhaps in a tone that's leagues fiercer than any I've heard from her before.
Try me. Ashton, duck!
I do. More out of instinct and desire to survive, closing my eyes before my mind can fully process what's going on. It all happens in a blur. The telltale sound of a taser being discharged resounds through the room. The air crackles. Something whizzes by, almost too close to my ear, followed by the thud of something blunt connecting solidly with another object. The next thing I know, the towel strangling me has started to loosen. I collapse on the floor, dazed and gasping for air. Hell yeah, Isabella! What's up, girl? Oh, this rules. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you tased Johans. This is all great. From my peripheral, though the haze of blood rushing and the sound slowly filtering back, the butler buckles. He spasms once. Then, without much fuss, falls face first beside me, knocked unconscious by 50,000 volts of electricity and a fucking rolling pin. He'll be out for a while. I have no idea whether I should laugh or cry at that. Somewhere in front of me, my oxygen-deprived brain vaguely registers Isabella's form. She slumps on the floor, also breathing heavily. Right next to her trembling hands, both the taser and the rolling pin lie useless and forgotten, while the mood in the room eases. A long, gradual process of the tension lifting. For countless seconds, we remain quiet, with only our short gasps and sighs to fill the silence, allowing the adrenaline to ebb away and both our breathing to slow. Not a true repose by any means, but simply a brief respite. There's still the curse. We're still inside the mansion, in imminent danger. We still have no idea how to fix this. Outside, the rain seems to only intensify. Lightning flashes fleetingly somewhere, white and piercing, and the sky rumbles. No rest for the wicked. I stir first, once recovered, having regained some semblance of sense and strength. Breathing still hurts, but it's bearable, as is moving, although every small motion causes a wince. There will be bruising tomorrow. I can manage. Retrieving my gun from under the bed is easy, but only with some effort, I'm able to drag an unconscious man to the far end of the room, snapping one end of handcuffs on his wrist while fastening the other on the bed frame. That should keep him restrained for a few hours in case he wakes up prematurely. All through this, Isabella stays quiet. In fact, she hasn't even moved since. Her hands still shake, and taking in long draws of breath while she stares vacantly in front of her, almost as if she's in shock. Perhaps she isn't even expecting any result, spurred only by some kind of desperation. Now it's sinking in. Unfortunately, we need to get moving. We don't have time to wait for everything to register in our heads. Kneeling in front of her, I give her a light shake.
Belle, we need to go. We can't stay here.
Slowly, she turns, staring at me with wide eyes. Worry flickers briefly in them, along with something ineffable. Then, without warning, she lifts a hand and slaps me right across the face. The sound of it cracks the air, shattering the silence like a fragile glass breaking. Despite the familiar rumble of thunder outside, it manages to ring louder above the storm. I don't even know what hit me, so my head has already snapped back and my cheek stings with anger. And it is anger. In spite of the stillness and the lack of words afterwards, not fuming though, never fuming, the kind that burns lightly and soundlessly. A frustration instead of a seething rage. One that ebbs just as quickly as it flows, and once the tide subsides, there's only that gleam in her eyes, warm, steadfast, and unflinching. Quietly, I brace myself for the truth underneath that gaze. It slips from her lips softly, nearly fading under the sound of the rain still falling fast, if not for the weight in each of her words.
What is wrong with you?
Belle,
If your bartender friend hadn't slipped up, no one would have known where you went.
Belle, one person knowing is enough. Any more than that, and
You almost died! He could have suffocated you right then and there, and you could have died. And by the time anyone ever finds out, you're already fertilizer!
She trails off, drags one indrawn breath after another, Brief lull as her frustration finally gives, dissolves into something more pensive and somber. Her shoulders droop, and though her voice rises hoarse and weary, in her next words there's only certainty.
You count too, you know? When I said that night, when I told you that I don't want to lose anyone anymore, that includes you. Alive. I'm still here, Ash. You have me.
And once their meaning fall, roar, it does so not with force of a dam breaking or a raging storm, but with the gentle, steady warmth of a hearth burning, an ember easing slowly, lightly, rising and giving, until all that's left is a truth, an understanding. Not alone. Never alone. Now we're talking! It lingers even as we both drift back into silence and her words take root, because of the gratitude that swells after is another warmth blooming. What else we got here? Get him! Get him, Isabella! Pleasant, welcoming, like finding home. Like finding ourselves in the haze of squall has left, creating something fragile yet immutable in both of us. It's in her eyes, it's in the way she holds my gaze, unwavering, in the way she carries herself to sight sitting amidst a place she fears, in the way she keeps herself from trembling and falling apart, because fear is inconsequential when people she cares about are at risk. A change. She realizes that now, holds on to it. Another little thing, another small thing from her, that may go unnoticed and pass by quietly, but will eventually amount to a lot of things. Yeah, I mean, we're kind of full circle here, because we're back in the attic, where it kind of all started. Tiny gestures that mean nothing at first, but begin to matter to me one day, until... oh. Despite myself, a small smile slips from my lips as the same warmth from earlier unfurls in my chest. Unhurried, familiar, and bright from all these years I've carried it, but have never given the words for it.
Stop smiling like that, Ashton! I'm not done scolding you!
But this time they come easy.
I heard all of it. Don't worry.
Are you really okay? That guy hit you a little too hard on the head. Here, let me...
I reach up just as she extends a hand toward my face, catching her wrist in a light grip, drawing it closer, and folding her hand in between mine. Although her expression does shift into mild confusion, she does not pull away like I'm expecting. She simply stares at me, searching. For her to allow a gesture from me that's perhaps too close tells a lot how far things have already shifted in the past 2 years. Cradled in mine, her hand still trembles. Most of the tremors has already subsided by now, though I doubt it'll fade away this soon. Even as I trace the lines of her palm in what I hope is a comforting gesture.
I'm sorry. No.
For what? Is this about what happened tonight? You can apologize later, when...
No, well, this too, but it's not just about this.
Are we finally going to do this, Ash?
It's for a lot of things. For calling you clumsy, and careless, and a scatterbrain.
Are you sure this isn't a concussion?
Let's list off every insult we've ever given Isabella. Surely this will make her love us.
You would think that, wouldn't you?
Well, you don't usually apologize.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry about that too. For all the times I've teased you and made you cry.
Unexpectedly, her fingers tighten around mine, our hands falling between us as something tender shifts in the air. Another exhale. Another drawn breath eases out of me, filled with every hesitation and uncertainties. But when I finally choose to break silence, it's only when I know that what will slip past my mouth is the one truth I will hold against the world.
But for all those callous words, despite all those,
You gotta speak up, Ashton, or she might not be able to hear you.
there's nothing that I don't love about you.
Oh.
In fact, those things, I love those. And everything that's you.
For a long moment, she offers no response. Her grip on my hands merely tightens. Although my heart's pounding hard against my ears, I take a chance and look up. Slightly leaning away and giving her a cautious glance, more than ready to hear her rejection. Instead, I find her in the brink of tears, with an almost unreadable expression on her face. When she notices my eyes on her, she hastily reaches up and wipes it with the back of her hands. It does not keep them from falling, and soon, they trail down her cheeks despite her best attempts. To say this is panic shooting right up in the base of my throat is a complete understatement. This isn't how I expected things to go.
Hey, Belle, did I say something wrong?
Why would you? I don't even have anything.
What?
Surely you want me for my money, right? But I don't have any.
I don't have anything. I'm not rich. I live off instant noodles almost every day.
You don't really understand how love works, do you, Belle?
I can't do anything properly without someone helping me. Except maybe if it's drawing, but that's beside the point. I didn't even get to graduate, even if I was so close. I'm not even sure that scholarship will get me anywhere. And
See, this is why you both deserve each other, because you both feel that you are yourself not worthy of love, but you love the other person despite not loving yourself.
ever since I came here, in the 5 years you've known me, I've got us into all kinds of trouble. So why would you even say that? I'm not...
Maybe it's the moment itself that spurs me to it. The desperation, the fear of almost dying, that I've already said more than what I'll usually allow myself, and I might as well finish before I lose my nerve. No matter the reason, I reach out for her. Gently. Someone like the way she barged into our lives so many years ago. The way she came in would leave a terrible impression on anyone, really. And yet it's people like her that you don't easily forget. It's them that gradually worms their way into a person's life until the very thought of losing them becomes unbearable. Isabella trails off once my palms brush against her tear-stained cheeks, but she neither pulls away nor pushes my hand off. Rather, she looks at me, wide-eyed, with another searching look. I only have one answer for that.
It doesn't matter. All of that is still you, and that's enough for me.
No promises, only truths. Perhaps the only genuine thing I can offer her at the moment. We don't even know what will happen, or if we'll ever survive this. So instead of words, I lean in, our foreheads briefly touching, before brushing my lips tenderly against hers. Woo! The kiss is nothing intimate, by any means. There's a brief second once our lips touch, when she tenses, unsure. A long moment of not knowing what to do with her hands, until she settles them on me. Slipping it up my arm in a light grip, afraid, too afraid, to make a mistake or hurt. But for now, it's enough. It's the closest we can come to it. Rather than give out empty promises or grand proclamations, we have this. Something she soon understands as her shoulders ease and she permits me to draw closer, deepening the kiss. Softly and gently, a short second of simply allowing the world to melt away around us and this to roar above anything else. Like every little thing between us that is built up to this one single point in time. A moment that becomes ours and ours alone. Something to hold close until all this is over. We part later to the sounds of the world rushing back around us, thunder, rain, and lightning, all to remind us both of a reality we have to face. Show me the cute. Show me the cute. Oh, cute. Ah. Enough to dampen the mood and force back the worry I've temporarily forgotten. Yet when I glance back at Isabella, all she has for me is a small smile, bright and hopeful. And it is strength enough. One that I try to draw from when I rest my forehead against hers one last time before leading us both out, her hand in mine. Alright, we're gonna have to leave it there on that very sweet note. I was not expecting that to be the direction that we ended this part in, but here we are. So I guess we will continue to explore this mansion and see what we can find out with Isabella now. Next time. Until then, this has been Downstage Gaming. I've been your host, Josh, and I will catch you all next time.